With FNAF being in the news recently, well, I mean, FNAF is always relevant, but more recently, because of Secret of the Mimic, it got me thinking this is the 11th FNAF game to release, which is just absolutely crazy. I sat back and wanted to rank every single core FNAF game, starting from the first to the most recent. Now, I'll only be looking at the official games from Scott Games and Steelwool. As for DLCs and spin-offs, I'll look at those in a potential sequel video. So let's sit back and take a trip down memory lane. Are these games as good as you remember? Let's find out. Okay, so before we get into the thick of it, how will I be ranking this? Well, I'm going to be looking for 4 major things from each game. The first is the horror factor. How scary is it? The second, the story significance. Did it affect the franchise in a huge way? Third, the animatronics and characters. And lastly, the game mechanics. I want this to be properly done, so those are the 4 major things I'll be looking at. Then I'll be putting them into this tier list. Okay, now that we got the rules out of the way, let's officially start from the beginning. Starting from the beginning, on August 8th, 2014, FNAF 1 was released and was met with positive reviews. It was a game that had never been seen before, a concept so simple but extremely effective. Once big YouTubers started playing it, the game took off. Okay, so looking at my 4 requirements, how does it do with the horror factor? Was this game scary? Indeed it was. We all remember playing this game in the dead of night. No lights, headphones in, and hearing the sounds of the pizzeria and the random Foxy humming. It was terrifying. Plus the atmosphere of the game, the empty office and quiet space. Plus the jump scares. They happened so fast but scared so many. It added with the child screams, it was terrifying. So for sure this game had its horror factor. Being as this was the first FNAF game, the story was still a giant mystery. Part of the game's massive success was due to the lore. What was going on in the pizzeria? Who killed the children? Who was Golden Freddy? Everything was such a mystery. I think even Scott himself was still figuring it out. Because of this, it had giant story significance since it basically started everything. As for the animatronics, it introduced us to one of the most iconic set of characters. Freddy, Foxy, Chica, Bonnie, and Golden Freddy. I mean, come on, you can't beat this crew. FNAF 1 certainly had iconic animatronics. Like I mentioned earlier, the game mechanics are so simple but extremely effective. Playing the game in a set place and not being able to walk around sounds boring, but because of the camera system and power and lights and doors, it had so much going on in a small space. Plus with the 7th custom night, it added more challenge to the best of players. 420 mode was like the final boss in this game, so it hit out of the park with the mechanics. As you can already kind of figure, I'm putting FNAF 1 into the S tier. I mean, come on, how can you not? It had everything. Moving on to the next one. On November 10th, 2014, after the immediate success of FNAF 1, Scott had to act fast and deliver the highly anticipated sequel, and FNAF 2 was released, and it was an immediate hit. Once again, the franchise had made a name itself on the internet. So, was this game scary? Well, it had no doors, meaning no physical protection from the animatronics. That was one of the biggest selling points of the game. But yes, this game was scary, because when putting on the mask, you can still see the animatronics freaking out in front of you. It felt very personal, and up close. In terms of its story significance, it certainly was huge. The twist in the game took place in the past and gave us more insight of who William Afton is and the puppet, even with the bite of 87, which was also very huge. Now for the animatronics, of course, this game doubled down on the aspect and introduced so many. In total, there were 11 animatronics, but the game did such a good job of it not feeling crazy. Also, the characters were iconic as well, introducing fan favorites like Mangle, the puppet, and of course, Toy Chica. So yes, this game killed it with their animatronics. The gameplay was also very different from the original. With no doors and mask, it certainly added a level of skill. Also with the music box, I'd say that was probably its only limiting factor. You can just stay on that camera and not check the others, missing out on the nice details and settings of the pizzeria. Nonetheless, it was still an amazing game, and it goes on the S tier. After FNAF 2, the franchise went quiet for a while, and on March 2nd, 2015, FNAF 3 was released. The series taking somewhat of a risk by changing some aspects of the game. The game, in my opinion, was not scary at all. I mean, sure, it had some quick gotcha jump scares, but in terms of its fear factor, it didn't give off the creepy vibes like the previous two. But this game was absolutely big when it came to the lore, giving us more depth into the franchise. We find out what happened to William Afton and how he got springlocked, and even more look into the Fredbear Family Diner, which was never seen previously. So yes, this was definitely huge. Now for its animatronics, technically it only had one real animatronic, but was one of the most iconic in the entire franchise, Springtrap being the main one. Really only threat in this game. The Phantoms were okay, but mostly annoying, and they would block you from stopping Springtrap, so this game introduced a fan favorite. Once again, the game took a turn stepping away from the mask and doors, this time with the reboot system. Now, it wasn't so bad, but at times annoying. It was probably simpler, to be honest. Also with the vents, having to check which one to seal, it was also pretty unique, but in my opinion, it was not as good as the previous two, so I'm putting this one in the C tier. On July 13th, 2015, the Scott Games YouTube channel uploaded one of the most, if not the most unsettling FNAF trailers. It was the announcement of FNAF 4. Like I said, the unsettling and creepiness of this trailer was one like we've never seen. Plus, the game itself is considered one of the most terrifying FNAFs ever made. I myself didn't even get that far into this game because of how scary it was, and to this day it still holds up as being just absolutely terrifying. Playing as Evan, the crying child in his home, added the extra fear to it, so certainly it had that horror factor. Oof. But as far as the story goes, absolutely it was huge. We learned and saw a little more of Fredbear's family diner, and with another incident involving an animatronic in the bite of 83 was revealed. With even more minigames and Easter eggs, this game added so much to the lore. The animatronics that appeared in this game are also unique, being nightmare versions of the animatronics we came to know and love, but also introducing two new ones. First, Nightmare Fredbear and Nightmare, two animatronics who just have very cool designs and sounds. To this day, Fredbear's laugh still sticks with me. Once again, FNAF changed the way we played the game. With this one, there were no cameras or music boxes. Instead, we rely on sound and our flashlights. This was an aspect that made the game even more horrifying. Having to listen for the breathing of the animatronics while also checking for the FREDDY'S behind us was scary, and for that, I'm putting this game on the A tier. It was more than a year, and FNAF was quiet. Too quiet. On October 7th, 2016, the next installment was released, FNAF Sister Location, and the franchise took a huge risk, taking the series to yet another turn. For this one, I'm combining the horror factor and game mechanics into one, since Sister Location changed the way we play FNAF. It introduced walking around and crawling in vents, and different types of games, like Blur's Gallery, which is terrifying, resetting the breakers with Funtime Freddy, and repairing Baby. These were all new things that the franchise had never seen before, so absolutely it was really scary and introduced some new things. Once again, the series introduced to us a new spin on classic animatronics, turning them into fun-time animatronics. What made them cool was that they could manipulate and remove their own faces and bodies, revealing the endo inside. Every character here is popular, but perhaps the most intimidating is Baby. Despite her name, she's not one to mess with. She's really creepy too. They did a great job making them look fun, but also terrifying. Once again, with this installment, we got even more lore from what happened with Michael and Ennard, and what Baby did to William Afton's daughter, Elizabeth, who we find out she killed. And finally, the private room, which was revealed to us that William was spying on Evan, potentially the whole time that FNAF 4 took place. Sister Location was a good game, but personally doesn't stand next to the rest, so I'll put it in the B tier. From here on out, the franchise would never be the same. The next game on this list is FNAF Pizza Sim, released on December 4th, 2017, which at first on Steam was just shown to be a minigame and nothing more, but once players played into it, it was a full-fledged game. Personally, I don't find Pizza Sim to be scary at all. Only true fear that comes out from this game is when you must evaluate animatronics to see if you want to keep them or not. Other than that, I think this game isn't that scary. It's a nice balance from designing your own pizzeria to fighting off the animatronics. Now, this game was huge for the story, having multiple endings, but with one of the coolest endings to any FNAF game with a fire speech by Henry Emily, one that still stands up to today. Also, this game served as an ending to the original storyline, with the burning down of the pizzeria, but also showing us more about Fazbear Entertainment as a company, which set up the future. Now, this game introduced so many animatronics, most of which were just featured in the Pizzeria Sim part of the game, but still it gave us a lot to look at, giving us variants of pre-existing animatronics. The most standout ones were Scrap Trap, Scrap Baby, and Molten Freddy. The game had unique animatronics. The gameplay was like none that we've seen. Once again, FNAF wanted to do something fresh, and they did. The Pizza Sim part of the game is extremely fun, and of course the salvage part was terrifying. And yes, having a sense of the old FNAF style mixed in with a new way to play was something that we also was really cool. But once again, it was good, just, not great. I'm putting this game down in the B tier. After Pizza Sim, it seemed like the series was going to take a long break. But that was not the case. In fact, not even a year later, on June 27th, 2018, Ultimate Custom Night was released, and this game was made to celebrate FNAF fans' favorite side mode, Custom Night. Now, this game to me was also not that scary. It was more classic than scary. Yes, it had jump scares, but that's pretty much it. The ambiance of the office wasn't terrifying because of how jam-packed everything was. I feel like also the comedic humor watered it down. In the grand consensus, FNAF Ultimate Custom Night is seen as non-canon, which makes sense. There's different animatronics from different eras, and also Toy Freddy himself is playing like FNAF clones, so that's funny too. It had no story significance. The only thing that the voice lines which gave us voices to all the animatronics, letting us fans hear what they sound like, so that's pretty cool. Also, the accepted theory that we're playing as William Afton in hell and Cassidy is controlling everything. But other than that, since it's not technically canon, it didn't have any significant story impact. Everyone was here. Every animatronic was here, so it certainly had the characters to match the ultimate in the name, also adding special side characters like Old Man Consequences and the Nightmare variants, so yes, they were stacked. This game has the most complicated mechanics from any FNAF game. Each animatronic has its own unique pattern, and this game freaking glorified that. The famous and legendary 50-20 mode, which, if beaten, would prove that you are truly a king of FNAF. It's a good game if you're into custom nights, so I'm putting it in the A tier. The franchise was branching off into another direction, tackling the virtual reality space, and on May 28, 2019, FNAF Help Wanda was released and leveled up the franchise, once again taking it up to new heights. Was this game scary? Let me think about that. Yes! It was a terrifying game. It had all of FNAF 1 to 3 and even their own original games like Night Terrors and Vent Repairs. And yes, this game was certainly putting the player right into the POV of the Night Guard. Other than that, the setting and detail in each game was awesome. The little details and creepy ambiance was certainly terrifying. So yes, this game was scary. This game was the beginning of a new storyline of FNAF. It showed us Glitch Trap and gave us more insight into Fazbear Entertainment and how shady it is. Also teased the next FNAF game, Security Breach, and foreshadowed Vanny. So yes, this game had a lot to do with the current lore. Once again, since this was a FNAF VR experience, it had nearly every animatronic, mostly the ones from the first phase of FNAF. It was really cool seeing these guys up close and getting jump scared 1 inch away from your face. Also seeing them walk around and moving was something we didn't really see in the series up until this point, so they cooked. The controls of this game were really well done. It was not wonky or complicated. It felt like you were actually there in FNAF offices. Sometimes though, it messed me up, but I'd stumble in real life because of how good everything felt and looked. FNAF in VR was a huge success, and many to this day consider it to be one of the best games in the series, so it goes on the S tier. Moving on, the series once again wanted to take another step up and head into the AAA genre, and on December 16th, 2021, FNAF Security Breach was released and was met with some mixed reviews. Was this game scary? Personally, no. The only part that I felt true fear was, you might have guessed it, was when you go underground in the Endo training facility. Other than that, the game was really nice to look at. We've never seen FNAF this bright or colorful, so the aesthetic was nice, but in terms of fear, no. For the first time ever, we had an actual main character who spoke and also a sidekick, Glamrock Freddy, which was also cool. This game contained so much lore and secrets. We got our first detailed look at Fredbear's Family Diner with the posters, and with the Burn Trap ending, we got to see the remnants of the FNAF Pizzeria Simulator Diner, along with William Afton, who is now Burn Trap. But this game had so many endings and choices, it had heavy lore. Along with new game, it gave us new animatronics like Roxanne Wolf and Montgomery Gator, along with new versions of Freddy and Chica. We also got DJ Music Man, who is another fan favorite. They did a great job with the characters. This game was like no other. We got to actually move around and crawl and open doors. With this one, the mechanics were really well done, especially with the manual save stations, which was just essential in a game like this. Ahem. The Freddy suit was a little glitchy, and sometimes it wouldn't work, but other than that, once they patched everything, it was good. It's a good FNAF game, but not the greatest, so I'm putting it in the B tier. After the success of the first Help Wanted, the fans and myself were waiting for the next installment, and on December 14th, 2023, they released FNAF Help Wanted 2. Now, since this Help Wanted was much more modern, a new fear they added was eye tracking, which gave a creepy effect on the animatronics because they would look at you in the eyes, which was scary. There were also a lot of scary minigames in this one. I mean, once again, it was FNAF VR, so they made it horrifying. This game showed us some things that were left unseen in other games. For example, we got to see more of the Pizzaplex and how it looked after Ruin. Also, we got to play Princess Quest 4, which was really cool seeing it in VR. But the ending of the game shows us the fate of Glitch Trap, which Vanny kills. We also learned that we, the player, were the ones to give Cassie the Vanny mask. We were also teased the next installment, so yes, it played a role in the story. This game's animatronics are mostly the newer ones introduced after the first phase of FNAF. It was cool seeing the Sister Location and Security Breach animatronics, also the Pizza Sim ones too. They all looked very nice and polished and HD. Once again, because it was VR, it had very good controls, and the fact that it was on PS5 made it even better. It was a well done game, but it was seen as the less superior one than the first Help Wanted. I enjoyed it, but I'm putting it down in the A tier. Here we are on the final and current FNAF game, FNAF Secret of the Mimic, which was released on June 13th, 2025, and I know it's a brand new game, but wow, if you haven't played it, go and play it. This game had some terrifying moments, especially with the way the Mimic works. The fact that he can be any costume you see in the game and just out of nowhere wake up when you walk by it is crazy. Also, the sound design is amazing. It certainly adds to the fear factor. Plus, with the chase sequences, it is really good. The story significance here is mainly about the Mimic and his origins. Diving into Edwin's costume factory, we got to see early versions of the FNAF 1 pizzeria and the animatronics we came to know and love. It also predated everything in FNAF. This is the oldest game we've ever been in. There was also only one major animatronic in this game who chased you, the Mimic. Now, they did such a great job with distinguishing every suit the Mimic wore, making it different every time. It didn't feel stale or old. Also, the Mimic is such a cool and intimidating character. Anyway, despite only being one, they killed it. I'll say it. This game, though, being similar to Security Breach, played way better for some reason. The movement and the items had much better handling. The only big problem with the mechanics is the autosave feature. Other than that, it had good mechanics, and it played really well. I'm putting it on the S tier. And that is every main FNAF game ranked. Let's look at the final ranking. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys thought. Rank them yourselves and let me know your personal favorites. Also, thank you all so much for watching. This is by far the longest video I've ever done. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. Also, thank you for the recent channel support. It means the absolute world to me. You have no idea. So please consider checking out some of my other videos, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.